At some point, you became the strong one. Not because you asked to, not because you planned it. It just happened. Things needed to get done. Someone had to hold it together. And over time, that someone became you. Hey, I'm Amber, and this is Talent Refinement, a space for people who want to grow at their own pace and in their own way. In this video, we're talking about the hidden cost of always being the capable one, the steady one, the one who handles things, and how that role slowly shapes the way you move through life, often without noticing. Grab your journal or notebook. I'll ask a few things to consider as we go, and writing them down helps you actually stay with the thought instead of letting it pass by. Being the strong one doesn't look heavy at first. It looks like reliability, competence, responsibility. You're the person who people count on. You follow through. You don't fall apart when things get stressful. And because you can handle it, you usually do. And here's what rarely gets talked about. Strength, when it turns into a role, starts to quietly cost you things. You stop checking in with yourself as often. You delay your own reactions. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. And later keeps on moving. This role forms slowly. You're the calm one in chaos, the one who smooths things over, the one who doesn't need much. For me, this shows up in how I plan. I am a planner by nature. I think ahead, I like structure. I want to know what's coming so things don't fall apart. That's how I keep things steady. My husband is the exact opposite. His favorite phrase is, no plan is the plan. He's comfortable going with the flow, figuring it out as he goes. For a long time, that contrast kind of bothered me. I thought planning meant I was carrying responsibility, and going with the flow meant someone else would have to pick up the pieces. What I didn't realize at first was how automatically I stepped into strong one mode. If there was uncertainty, I filled it with a plan. If something felt loose, I tightened it. If no one else was organizing things, I sure did. From the outside, totally looked like leadership. And sometimes it was. But other times, it was just me taking on weight I never paused to question. I wasn't asking, do I want to manage this? I was asking, how do I make this work? That's a subtle shift, and it definitely matters. Because planning, when it turns into overfunctioning, isn't about control. It's about preventing things from dropping. And when you're the one who's always catching things before they fall, you don't notice how much you're holding until you're so tired. You're so tired in a way that rest doesn't fully fix it. This isn't about being selfless all the time. And it's not about feeling unappreciated. It's about how endurance slowly replaces awareness. You don't ask yourself, do I want to carry this? You ask yourself, can I handle it? And most of the time, the answer is yes. So you keep going. I've seen this pattern in myself, in friends, in coworkers. The person who steps in, who absorbs the tension, who figures it all out. From the outside, solid. From the inside, they're quietly depleted. Not burned out in a dramatic way, just worn down. You don't really realize how much you're holding until you finally stop holding it. Here's where things start to make sense. You live primarily by responsibility. Other values slowly get crowded out. Things like margin, creativity, connection, choice. Responsibility isn't bad, but when it becomes the default setting, it starts making decisions for you. You say yes automatically. You adjust instead of checking in. You don't question expectations. Eventually, you forget what's actually yours to carry. So pause here and write this down. What am I carrying right now simply because I can? Not because you agreed to it, not because it aligns with what matters, just because you're capable. Another thing that happens when you're the strong one is this. People stop checking in on you. It's not out of neglect. It's out of assumption. You look fine. You sound steady. You don't complain. So no one thinks to ask. And after a while, you don't ask either. You normalize being tired. You normalize pushing through. You normalize holding more than your share. This is usually where resentment shows up quietly. Not necessarily explosive, but subtle. You feel it when you're doing something for the 5th time and no one notices. When you solve a problem and move straight to the next one. When you support everyone else and skip yourself. That doesn't mean you're bitter. It means something's just out of balance. And most people don't realize what's actually driving that imbalance. Because when you don't choose what matters to you on purpose, your role starts choosing it for you. Responsibility gets loud. Everything else goes quiet. If you want help sorting through that, check out the values worksheet. I'll leave it linked below. It's a good place to start. It helps you see what's actually driving your decisions right now, not what you think should be. And if you want more space to work through this, I would check out the Clarity Refined or maybe even that Confidence Refined workbook. They're designed exactly for this kind of reflection. It's not there to fix you, just to help you separate what's yours from what you've been carrying. Now let's talk about what actually shifts things. The goal isn't to stop being strong. It's to stop being strong by default. So before you say yes, before you step in, before you take something on, ask yourself one question. Is this mine to carry? Not, can I handle it? You already know you can. But do I want to? That question creates choice, and choice brings you back into alignment. Another small shift is naming tired before it turns into exhaustion. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. Just noticing it is enough to interrupt the pattern. One last thing before we wrap up. Being the strong one shaped you. It gave you skills, perspective, resilience. But it doesn't get to define you forever. You're allowed to renegotiate the role. You're allowed to carry less. You're allowed to choose differently now. You're already more capable than your brain admits. Take a minute and write this down. What are you carrying right now that you never actually agreed to hold? All right, if this helped, like and subscribe for more weekly videos. And again, if you want to go deeper, grab that values worksheet and maybe explore any of the 2 workbooks that I mentioned. I'll leave them linked below. And as always, reflect deeply, grow boldly, and refine endlessly. See you next time.